All right, guys, welcome to today's video. Today, I'm going to go over lead generation metrics for cold outreach. And today, I'm going to go over the types of metrics that we can track, which ones are actually most important, and then which ones or how to fix them, and then testing. So, real quick, I want to go over metrics because there is some misconception on how metrics actually work. And based on my experience with cold emailing, it really can work a few different ways, and there are only a few major metrics that you need to track, and you need to look for. Okay, the purpose of metrics are bottlenecks in your systems, and you need to make sure you're finding the bottlenecks that are in your systems, especially when you're using cold outreach. And the reason for that is because if you have bottlenecks, you're not going to have consistent flow typically. And also, if you have bottlenecks, it's hard to figure out, or it's hard to necessarily understand how to actually improve it. So you need to make sure that you're not having bottlenecks, and that once you have accurate metrics, then you actually figure out where you're lagging, where you're leading. So a couple things I want to point out right off the bat. There's a lot of metrics people track. Sometimes it's really hard to figure out what metrics you really should even track. And this is just kind of my spreadsheet of which ones I actually track, but these are like some that people like to throw out there: number of outreach attempts, response rate, conversion rate, lead to customer conversion rate, open rate for cold emails, reply rate. And this could apply for anything. And the three major cold outreaches that I usually do is email, cold call, and cold DM. Those are the three main attributes that I'm using right now, and that I'm specifically talking about for this video. And like I said, look, people are going to tell you, look, you need to be tracking this metric, you need to be tracking this metric, you need to be tracking this metric. Stop tracking all these metrics. You really need to track three major ones for each method you do. And then there's one major one, or sorry, there's two major ones for every single method that are the same. So especially if you're trying to improve these, you need to think about this in a couple different ways. You need to think about it as you have a couple bottlenecks in your process, and you need to figure out where that bottleneck is. And I'm going to show you what metrics I track for each one of these. But look, you're going to have a bottleneck, which is basically this one, which is leads dropping into the bucket, and then your first outreach. Basically your first cold outreach to them, right? And then you're going to try to figure out, okay, what is after I've outreach replying to me? So this is like 2 is replying. So 1 is like your first time, 2 is you're replying, and then 3 is basically once a lead goes from cold all the way to being sold. So this is sale down here, and this is cold. If they go from cold all the way to sold, there's a metric you need to track for that. So those are the three main spots, and each metric that I track is going to give you double-sided metrics, which that's saying, look, if that's low, you know that it's here and it's one side or the other. And it's important to be able to track one and not track two, right? So you don't want to track too many. So a lot of people always say, okay, track all these metrics, track this metric, but you only need to track one for each of these. So for the first one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over each one of these, and look, one might apply to you, one might not. Feel free to take a screenshot and use this information. But for cold emails, I do new emails sent per day, right? This is super important. How many emails are you actually sending out per day? And what's the metric that I try to track? So typically you should have, for every single inbox, you should be sending 30 emails per inbox per day, right? And so what you do is, to get this calculation, is you just say, at what percent am I at full capacity? So this would be new emails per day, and then it would be percentage. So that's a percentage of that. So what you would do is you would say basically, I have 4 inboxes, so 4 times 30 times inbox, whatever it is per day. So you do 4 per day. And then what you're going to do is you're going to set up a dashboard. And when you look at that dashboard is going to tell you, okay, we are at 100% capacity because we're sending all 30. And then if you see that dipping, that either you don't have the amount of leads coming in or there's something wrong with your inboxes. Okay, next one is cold to call. That's based on percentage. Now, how many basically go from once you send an initial email all the way over to they actually booked a call? And because this is cold outreach, right? The goal right now, especially keep in mind, we're trying to test this. How many times do they go from here, basically ascend? How many times do they go from here to here, which is they booked a call? All right, and it's a percentage basis, and usually what I look to is about 3% or 3 out of 10 or 3 out of 100. Look, that's a pretty low metric, I'll be honest, but it's something that I just like to say as a baseline, right? And then you can kind of improve it up to there, but make sure that you're doing at least 3%. So for every 3 you send, you get some sort of people that book a call. This is not sales. Remember, cold to call. And then how many follow-ups do you do per follow-ups? How many follow-ups do you do per call that you get booked? And I like to do 3, under 3 if possible, right? So you would ideally only be sending 2 emails in a chain and then getting a response, a cold response. All right, we'll keep moving. So this is for DMs. So once again, this is the same metric across each one. But what do I say for this? Look, 100 outreaches per day, new outreach per day. I would say 100 per inbox. But look, I mean, honestly, especially for Instagram, I'm realizing lately, and after I wrote this, of course, now I'm gonna have to change it. But I would say it's more like maybe 50. And look, it really depends on what platform you're on. Instagram, sometimes you can get away with 100. LinkedIn's definitely less, more like almost 30, just to make sure you don't want to get watched. But I would say definitely well under 50. But let's just say 50 for now. Facebook, it's a whole nother animal. But as far as LinkedIn and look for 50, I would say that. Or not LinkedIn, for Instagram and LinkedIn, I would say 50. So make sure, that's a percentage again. That's a percentage. Cold to call, once again. So this is for DM. I like to do 10%, and I know that's a little ambitious, but to be honest, I think it's doable. I think 10% cold to call is pretty doable. I don't think it's impossible. It's an impossible metric at all. Just let me fix my numbers here. And then platform performance. This is obviously a specific metric. So the last one is a specific metric, platform performance. So IG, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. All right, where are you reaching out to these people? What is the most performing platform for you? And then you need to go all in on that platform. What I've noticed for a lot of DMs is it gets really hectic. There's a lot of things going on. Cold email, it's just one channel. For cold calling, it's one channel. But when you start doing DMs, you really need to figure out where your customers are. If it's on LinkedIn, just do LinkedIn and master that before you add on another DM channel. Okay, new outreaches per day, 20. This is cold calling, 25 per hour. So that's a little more than 2 minutes a call. And look, if you're cold calling, you should be spending more than 2 minutes on a call. If your guys are spending more than 2 minutes on a call, it's good, but we need to also factor in, look, you need to be getting through those calls. And also, are you doing less than 4 hours per day, right? You don't want any of your callers to be doing more than 4 hours. That's when they're get most optimal. Look, I know that's not written well at all. I'm literally writing with my mouse and it's not optimal. Cold call percent. So I know we're getting long in the tooth. Cold call percentage, I do 15%. I think that this is actually a really doable number for all these. It's 15 out of 10. This is 10 out of 10. But the thing is, we got to keep in mind is even though it seems like this one we should just be doing all day long. You're only really doing it for 4 hours. So you can do 25, so you can do 100 outreaches per day. Whereas email, you can scale very quickly. So keep that in mind. And then pickups is the metric I track, 80%. I like to hit 80%. If you're hitting less than 80%, you know that you don't have good numbers. All right, 2 metrics to track right here. And these are some really important ones that you need to track for each and every system. Cost per lead. So basically, how much does it cost to generate one cold email lead? How much, and then lead to outreach ratio. So at the end of the day, how many leads? So I guess really that's this cold call to percent. So we can just say that this right here, these two are the same, because actually, you know what? Scratch that. This is to basically to go from one step to the next. This right here. So it's not really a lead yet, but you know what? I would say these two are the same. So I'm just going to remove this. But it's still an important metric to track. And you need to make sure that you're hitting close to these, obviously. All right, so a couple of quick things on how to optimize this. And one thing I want to say right now, I'm building a Skool community, and this Skool community is for people that are trying to improve their cold outreach strategies. And I don't have any courses in there right now. I'm creating a course, but I'm sure you've kind of figured out, or I'm sure you've tried to obviously had pain points as far as trying to figure out how to improve your cold outreach. Maybe you have a cold outreach system, you don't know how to improve it, or you don't have a cold outreach system and you want to start one, whether it's email, DM, or cold calling. I can help you out with that. I've done that for my business, and I can help you out with it. So please, if you're interested in learning from like-minded people, my goal for this community is to bring all the masterminds of cold outreach into one place, and so we can communicate one with another what's working, what's not working, and especially with, there's only so many cold outreach channels, and I want to make sure that we are talking to one another and helping each other get better at cold outreach. So links in the description, go ahead and join. And if you're saying, hey, look, you don't have anything in there, you don't have a Skool community, you don't have nothing, you don't have anything, I'm willing to, if you join now and you put in the message 5 hours free and you send me a message, I am willing to work 1 hour with you, 1 hour for free for the next 5 weeks on your cold outreach system. Well, I can go over whatever you want, improving it, creating it, starting it up, where to hire people, all that good stuff. I will work with you on getting that started, what tools to use if you join the Skool community, and hopefully see you there. Just make sure you DM me. All right, so real quick, reach out to low, better systems or better reps. Look, it's one or the other. Either you have crappy systems or you have better reps. You need to figure out if there's enough leads to reach out to as well. Because look, if your reach outs are low, either you have low amount of leads or you don't have enough actual inboxes reaching up. It's one or the other. It's left or right. It's the left side of the funnel or it's the right side of the funnel. Either you're not sending enough letters or you don't have enough addresses to send the letters to. Got to figure that out. Lead source is so call to close is low, right? So your lead source is bad or your script's bad. And what you need to do is you need to go over your script. You need to A/B test different scripts. But I would also look at your lead source. Are you getting a lot of bounces? Do you have 100, but you're only getting 5 or 6 pickups? Are you actually getting replies? Are the people you're sending messages to actually people you've sold before? Just different things you need to check, right? And then follow up platform pickups. Use these metrics to determine how each channel is doing overall. So that's what I'm saying right here. How many follow-ups? Look, if you have a lot of follow-ups, you got to improve your process there. If you don't have a lot of pickups, you got to get better phone numbers. Okay. Here's some actions to take. Make a dashboard or Excel sheet recording these metrics and test them over the next 30 days. Look, it's a lot of work to set up one of these dashboards, and that's something I want to do in the future is have one of these dashboards automatically set up to pull in all your metrics. Right now, I don't have that. But what your dashboard is going to look like, and I know this looks very confusing, is so what you want to do is you want to make sure your big metric is in whatever color you want, obviously, but make sure your metric is big on the left, and then make sure you have an indicator and that indicator is green or red. Are we above or are we below the metric? That's all you care about, right? You need to be able to look at this in less than 30 seconds. Okay, so whatever the metric is, if it's a percent, so you would put this metric here, call to close, and you want to make sure obviously it's for whatever channel. And then you want to put the 7-day average. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have your big metric right here, your big metric right here, and then you're going to have your 7-day average right under it. Because what you want to do is you want to see over the last 7 days, are we positive or are we negative? And as we get over this, as we get farther into this, you're going to want to look at 7-day average, 30-day average, 90-day average, and 1-year average. And that's if you're drilling down. But if the 7-day average is good, I would leave it alone. And then what you want to do is just in this box, probably on the corner, what the actual metric you're going for is here. Okay, just so you don't forget it. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to be able to set up a optimally. You're going to want to, if this is bad, you're going to want to be able to click into this and say, okay, our goal's here. This is our, last 30 days. Looks a little rough. And then obviously you want to be able to put out to 90 and, 120. And then you want to see, okay, we're hitting a bump here. Is that consistent across the last couple of months? What's the reason for that? Why are we low? And try to isolate the problem. Okay, I know I've went on. If you're still watching, which probably aren't, I want to talk about something real quick, and that's something that's really important to metrics, and that is how to even get your metrics and to check churn. So when you are trying to design a cold email system, the first thing you want to figure out is, what is your optimal strategy? What's the end goal here? Are you trying to grow or are you trying to maintain? And the way you do that is you need to check, okay, what's your churn percentage? So how many people do you have come in and how many people do you have, how many people do you have come in and how many people do you have come out, right? How many customers do you have come in and how many customers do you have come out? What's your churn percentage? So let's say your churn percent, it's let's just say easy, it's 10%. Okay, so to maintain, you need whatever 10% of people adding more every single month. And you can put a number on that. So maybe the percentage is 10%, but let's just say right now we have 30, so we want 40, right? Okay, so now what you need to do is you need to make sure that if you're trying to grow, you need to be above that churn number, obviously. And what I always recommend is looking at your churn over a year and then individual months and seeing if you have dips. Because look, if you have a dip in October, if your business, this is a bigger business thing, but if you have a dip in October because of leaves are falling, so people stop buying your product, whatever it is, go back to, but you're all good in the summer because you sell pool services or whatever, you're going to be good. Your churn percentage really needs to look over the whole year, right? So hopefully it's consistent over the whole year, but that could be a problem. But completing the thought, what I was saying is you don't want to look at a particular month because some months look worse than others, and you want to make sure that you are actually looking at not the best case, but an actual reasonable case. All right, so let's just say the churn is 10%. So let's just say based on the churn 10%, we need to make, 7, let's just make it easy. We need to make 1 sale. So you need to make 1 sale. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do, okay, what's my metric here? And these are metrics you're going to have to track eventually. And these are more for like your sales team, but it's really important as a cold outreach marketer that you understand these, right? So what's my percentage that goes from calls to here? So let's just say this would be a, what is it? Can't do math. A 30% conversion rate from calls to sales, right? So that's good. It's okay. So now we need to get 10 calls. How do we get 10 calls? Okay, well, we need to get, maybe you have, a 10% here too, right? So then we have to get 10 warms, and then how many do we have to get to reply? And then how many do we need to send? And you need to figure this out for for each and every single platform. So it gets a little bit more complicated, but when you're trying to, let's just say you're trying to do cold email and we want to have, 5 sales come from cold email. Okay, so if we need 5 sales coming from cold email, we need to send this amount. You want to basically do the math backwards to figure out the amount you need to send. And I know it sounds crazy that, hey, people don't understand this, but this is the math that you need to do in your head. So when you go into this, you need to say, okay, well, if I need to send 1,000 emails every single hour, or let's just say I need to send 1,000 emails a day, divided by 30, how many inboxes do I need? Oh, that's 30 inboxes. That's a lot of inboxes, right? That's a lot of inbox management. If you're only sending 30 per inbox. And so how much does this cost? And then what you need to do is you need to say, okay, how much at the end of the day is this going to cost? And is it worth it for the amount of sales that it's going to be? So then you figure out what's your cost of acquisition for this particular market. All right. I know I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there, but I think it's really important to really understand, hey, figure out this metric. How many do you need to send here? Figure out that metric. And if you're smart, what you'll do is you'll go past the metric and say, well, every time I get a lead or a contact, every time I get a contact, I get, I need 10x the contacts because half of them are just crap, right? So that's something you need to make sure you're thinking about, because when you plan for cold outreach, you want to make sure you're profitable. And that's something we'll talk about in the next video. The last thing I said is, look, when you're planning how many emails you want to send, think about this. Think about what's the size of the actual contacts that I have. If you have 50,000 contacts, you can be basically regurgitating these contacts every 6 months. So let's just say you send Peter an email in January, you can send him another one in June. Some people even do it in 4 months. So what you need to figure out is, okay, if I have 50,000 contacts, I need to send them over the next 6 months, 50,000 divided by 6, how many cold email inboxes do I need to do that? Is it going to be profitable if I get this conversion rate? And what I like to say is, look, if you have 50,000, inboxes to send. So this is size of just like the, okay, going back to topic, how many do I have to send out? But one thing to think about is, this metric right here, email sent per day, you need to make sure that you're not bottlenecking your leads. So if it takes you 5 hours to get one contact, then you're never going to be able to send 1,000 emails a day. But if it takes you, 5 minutes to get 10,000, you need to have more inboxes. So what I like to say is, the time that it will take you to get, basically how big of a backlog you have, the time it will take you to fill that up, make sure that you are able to refill that constantly, and make sure that you're not like basically having a full tank, sending it, because then you're going to have down days and your metrics aren't going to be consistent. Okay. I think I ranted on just enough. Look, I'm sure there's questions. I'm sure this doesn't all make sense, but what I say is, look, if you're looking for a like-minded community that's just trying to grow their cold outreach campaigns, go to my school community, join, email me, DM me, 5 hours free. I will help you improve your school or improve your cold outreach. And if you're struggling, or if you're just trying to build it out, I will literally walk you through for 5 hours, 1 hour a day, every single day, how to get there, how to start setting stuff up, and how to launch it. So thanks for watching.